Gareth, welcome, man.
Hey, Rand, how's it going?
What's up, brother?
Hey,
How's it going, man? We had to get you back on today. No, we had to get you back on today because the Fed, everyone is pricing in 8 to 9 interest rate hikes. And as usual, Gareth, the contrarian, came back on and said, the Fed is dreaming if they think they're going to be able to sneak in more than 4 interest rate hikes this year. Walk me through your thinking there.
Well, it's just the common sense of knowing that in history, every time the Fed raises rates, it slows the economy, right? And then you add in $115 oil right now. That's slowing the economy. The market shows that it sells off when the Fed raises rates, which is going to slow the economy. So if you add all these things up, I mean, they're talking a great game because they have to. But I mean, if they raise 8 times this year, we're going to have a depression. You know what I'm saying? I don't see how it's possible. Yeah. All right, so here's the S&P 500, right? So basically what you have is a market. This was your market on steroids, right, with the COVID stimulus, and it was going great. And then the Fed said, hey, we're going to put on the brakes here. So we broke that upsloping trend. And then I think, again, that we're probably coming back down into this longer trend growth area, right? So if we zoom out, this was your longer trend growth range. And it makes a lot of sense, right, that we're going to come back to that level. And that's assuming no recession, by the way. That's just going back to your long-term growth range. If the Fed does raise too much and create a recession, then we could trade lower than that. But I think it makes a lot of sense that, I mean, if you look at the midpoint of this level, right, where is that? It's right before COVID hit. The market dumped on COVID. That could be your target for this year. I could see that being a beautiful target on the S&P 500. And again, it would be crazy. I mean, to imagine, I mean, if the market's down 30%, do we really think the Fed's going to raise 8 times this year? I mean, let's just say they're at 4. I mean, they're going to raise 4 more. It's hard to imagine. And by the way, that's if they do stop raising, that's very bullish for crypto at that point. That would be my turning point. And I would then say, okay, if the Fed has stopped tightening and maybe they're going back to a looser money policy, then that could be where Bitcoin really starts to make its bigger move up later in the year. All right, let's do that here. So Bitcoin,
Let me guess. We've had a run and now you're calling it slightly back down.
Yeah, I mean, so basically Bitcoin's done almost nothing now since January, right? I mean, that's the essence of it is it's just chopping sideways. But I mean, again, the bigger pattern to me is this down move and then basically the sideways consolidation. And I'm very concerned about that. You know, in fact, I just unloaded a little crypto this morning that I was holding. I still have some Bitcoin, but I'm getting a little nervous. Why haven't we broken up? One of the things that concerns me is the NASDAQ has just gone on this massive run over the last week, and Bitcoin's kind of just sputtering here.
Bitcoin was at 33,000, right?
Right.
And we're back up at 42,000. So, I mean, you could say that Bitcoin's just been leading the NASDAQ all along.
And you're right. You're right. Generally, Bitcoin does lead. If you go back to 2017, when Bitcoin topped out in that cycle, the NASDAQ didn't top out until kind of January, February of 2018. So it does lead. I'm more speaking about the correlation we've seen over the last few months. When the NASDAQ gets a kind of a buy, you almost immediately see an upswing in Bitcoin, right? There's a correlation there of risk on assets. And if you look at the vertical move just in the last few days on the NASDAQ, the QQQ, and I'll bring it up here. I mean, look at this vertical move here. And then if we go to the last 5 or 7 days on Bitcoin, it's kind of lagged. I mean, look at this, kind of like sputter. I mean, I would have expected to see Bitcoin like at the upper end of this channel trying to break out here, and it hasn't done that. Now, maybe it'll play catch up, maybe, but that's just a little bit. I'm like, why is that happening? Why isn't Bitcoin ripping when the NASDAQ's been ripping here? And again,
why is that happening? Why is that happening?
I honestly don't know. I don't know. The only thing I can do is just look at the charts, and this pattern here, this big down move and this consolidation, that's known as in the industry as a bear flag. So the way it would get negated, if you could somehow get above here and start trading in this range, then it takes it off the table. Then I think you do have some upside. But as long as you stay in this sideways consolidation range, that concerns me a little bit. And again, you know, I'm a long-term huge believer in Bitcoin. It's just these things are bothering me right now. My big thing is that I do worry that this bear flag is going to trade to the downside and take out this yellow upsloping trend line, in which case then you look to 29,000 and then potentially lower. But again, you know, I'm one of those people that as a trader, I look at these possibilities. I say, okay, the probability of this happening is X amount. And then really, if it's going to happen, it has to take out the line. So you have two lines. You're basically trading in the midpoint of that area. So all we have to do as investors is just watch, right? So if it takes out up here, hugely bullish. If it takes out down here, hugely bearish. So again, I think that's the nice thing about charts. It gives us a very concise level to watch on both sides. Yeah, absolutely. So the beauty of the ETH chart is, and I remember discussing this with some other individuals a while back, is that we were hovering right on this line. And if you're thinking about a trade, I love these scenarios, because basically if you were on this line like you were right here, you could buy ETH, and then you keep the stop at any daily close below that line, but you can just go long with a very, very minimal amount of risk. So when you're doing a trade, it's all about risk versus reward. And in this scenario, it was a beautiful play because you were buying it right on the trend line. And if it broke, you stop out for $100 loss. But ultimately, if it goes, you get this beautiful move up. So the ETH chart doesn't look bad. I think, again, what you're watching for on this, as long as it doesn't take out this orange line, you remain neutral to positive on it, but then just be aware of where you need to stop out if it comes down.